Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second installment of Kiwi Cast. This informal series is a podcast of sorts and features your boy EmeraldKiwi and the scrub herself, DoodleKiwi.
Ayo.
Links to our social media pages will all be down in the description. Today we're going to be taking a look at some witchcraft nonsense, Halo 5, your right to repair electronics, and the stupid patent of the month. We'll be getting into those a little bit later. But first, let's take a look at the witchcraft nonsense. Before the podcast started, we took a couple of quizzes on Pottermore.
We took all of the quizzes on
Pottermore. all the quizzes on Pottermore. And basically, Pottermore is a little bit of a website, and they just have a bunch of lore and everything about Harry Potter that you can think of. But I quickly made a profile. Ignore that. It says Doodle Bob. Because I just typed in some random name. You can take a quiz that determines your Patronus. You can determine your Hogwarts house, your Ilvermorny house. I didn't really know what that was, but DoodleKiwi told me to take the quiz anyways.
Yeah.
And then you can also take a quiz to determine what kind of wand you will have.
So we'll start out with me because I'm the most important.
Yeah,
my Hogwarts house was Gryffindor, and some traits that describe like Gryffindor in case you don't have any idea, which you probably should by now. Brave, courageous, chivalrous, daring, and bold. So even though I can't order my own pizza off the phone, I'm very daring and bold.
Indeed, yeah.
And then the Ilvermorny house, I had to look this up because I really honestly wasn't sure what it was. But it's apparently like Hogwarts, but in North America, and that's basically all I know. My Ilvermorny house was Wampus.
Wampus?
Yeah. And it's apparently named after like a magical panther-like creature that was fast and almost impossible to kill, which, if that ain't
you
me,
are pretty fast.
Yeah, I am. And apparently the Wampus house represents like the body of the wizard, and the house favors warriors. And my wand is ebony wood, dragon heart string core, 12 3/4 inch length, unbending flexibility. And just a few fun facts about the wand I have. The ebony wood apparently has like the coolest reputation, and it's like jet black and it looks really sick.
Ebony wood looks pretty sweet.
It does. I was happy when I saw that. And then the dragon heartstring core, those are like that kind of core. Like it's pretty well known that like that's the most powerful wand that you can have, and like you learn really quick as well.
Doesn't Voldemort have a dragon heartstring core?
I don't know.
Or Harry? I don't remember. One of them did. I'm almost certain.
I read all the books, I swear. And then my Patronus was a dapple gray mare, which is basically just a horse. But it looks pretty sick, and it's pretty cool. And real proud of that one.
Yeah.
How about you?
Nay. Okay. I took the same quizzes on the same website and everything.
I was hoping you got Hufflepuff, to be honest, so I could make fun of you.
Yeah, well, I didn't. I got the very opposite of Hufflepuff. I got put into Ravenclaw. That means I'm intelligent, wise, sharp, witty, and individual.
Sure.
You don't agree with any of those? Or not all of them?
One could argue that none of those are correct, but you know.
Alright. We're just gonna move right on then.
Yeah.
My Ilvermorny house was Thunderbird, and that represents the soul of a wizard. Thunderbird favors adventurers. So I'm not sure how that worked. I swear I answered them the best I could, and I still got adventurous somehow. The wand that I got is made of black walnut wood, and it has a unicorn hair core. It's 12 1/4 inch length, and it has unyielding flexibility. Unyielding flexibility, I don't know, that kind of seems like not flexible.
Yeah, I think that's what we agreed on. You said if I sat on mine, it would break.
Yeah, because yours says unbending flexibility.
Right, but that doesn't mean, like, fragile or, like, crispy.
Yeah, but you gotta think, if you're just holding a little twig and you sit on it, what's gonna happen?
Okay, well, you don't sit on wands.
You could.
I guess you could, but, like, hopefully you're sitting on it, like, on a couch or something, so, like, the pressure is like spread out like across the area of the wand. I took physics. I know what I'm talking about.
Alright, whatever.
What's your Patronus?
Oh yeah, my Patronus was a wolf, so that's pretty lit.
It's kind of lit. I'm a little jealous.
You got a horse.
Oh yeah, but like horses are pretty sick though.
I mean, I guess.
Like out of all the Patronuses that I saw that you could get, like I saw an otter, I saw like a swan, I saw like a weasel thing, and I get like a freaking like horse. Like that's pretty lit. And it's not a horse; it's a mare. Which aren't those like baby horses or something?
I think those. Hold on, let's Google that really quick. Mare.
Oh.
Mare. Okay, that's you don't. That's not a thing. Stop. A horse racing.
Okay, so not a baby.
Female horse,
Not-
more than 4 years old.
Not a baby horse. I'm glad
So you
we
can
got
either
that.
have that protecting you from Dementors, or a wolf. Which one would you rather
Okay,
have?
well the horse would like legit just like stomp the heck out of a Dementor. So.
I don't think you understand how this works.
Okay, well, Harry's was like a freaking doe, alright? You want to argue about whose Patronus is the
Okay,
coolest,
well-
and you're gonna... Shut up.
A wolf is like pretty cool.
It's alright. Doodle Bob.
You got me.
Yeah, I did.
Alright, moving right along, we have DoodleKiwi's Halo 5 update. So your previous stats were from June 22nd. Was that from 2016?
Yeah, these stats were from like June 22nd, as in like a couple weeks ago, from 2017. So I like when I started getting back into Halo 5, I was just like, you know what? It would probably be a good idea if I could take a picture of my stats. That way, even if I don't feel like I'm improving, I can look at them later. And then I can see, like, oh my gosh, I actually am improving despite what I thought. So my previous stats, the KDA is, like, kill death average or something. Like,
It's some sort of function of your kills and deaths
and your
plus your
assists.
assists.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly how it works either.
It's not your exact kill death ratio, but, I mean, it's something similar. It's a stat that basically shows, like, how positive you're going in terms of kill deaths and assists.
For reference though, just a regular kill death ratio is like, say you have a 1 kill death ratio. That means for every time you die, you at least got you got 1 kill for
Yeah.
every time you died.
Yeah.
So if you have a 2.0 kill death ratio, that means every time you died, you got 2 kills. So not in reality, it's not really higher is better, but stats wise, higher is better.
Yeah.
But if just having a 1.0 KD, that means you're even. Less than 1 means you're negative, and more than 1 means you're positive.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah, so my KDA was 0.7. The amount of games I'd played was 743. The amount of wins was 356. My win percentage was 47.9. And my accuracy was 38.8. And I took a picture from my current stats, which were just from a few days ago. And, I mean, I knew my accuracy had improved because you can see, like, I knew that it started out at 38-ish. And I could see, like, wow, it's in the 40s. But I really didn't realize how much I had already improved in just, like, 215 games. So my KDA went to 1.3, which is an increase of 0.6.
That's almost double.
Yeah, it almost doubled in, like, what, 20 days? I don't know how math works. 2 weeks, something like that. Somewhere, the numbers are there. And the amount of games I played, again, I only played 215 games from then until now. And the wins that I have are now 471, which is an increase of 115. And then my win percentage went from 47.9 to 49.1, which is an increase of 1.2. And my accuracy jumped up 3 points, which is quite significant, actually.
These are all the accuracy, the win percentage. Those are both percentages. So
Yeah.
accuracy obviously is the number of shots you hit versus shots you missed. So like a 38.8% accuracy means you hit 38.8% of all your shots that you shot. So that's a real number. That's a real stat that represents how good you can aim.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously it's not directly it doesn't reflect directly your skill at the game,
Yeah.
but it does represent partially your accuracy. It's not, I mean, you can't just go off stats and say like,
Oh,
wow,
I'm
my
the
stats are
best.
bad, I'm bad, or my
Or,
stats
yeah,
are good,
yeah.
I'm good. That's not really how it works, but it does give you a good general idea of what's going on.
For sure. And so the next thing that we wanted to talk about, mostly because I've had a couple of experiences with bad teammates and really bad matches. So the next thing we want to talk about is teamwork etiquette.
Go ahead and share your experiences with those matches, and then I'll kind of tag on what are some things you should do or should have as a player, and then what are some things that you shouldn't do if your team is losing. And at that point, I mean, what do you do?
Right.
I'm going to tell you 3 things you shouldn't do.
The first experience, a couple days ago, I was running 4s with some friends of friends. I don't know any of them in real life, but a friend on Xbox Live introduced me to his buddies, and they're pretty good. They're playing at, like, probably... In Halo 5, you have skill or, like, rank things, and it goes from, like, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, and then it goes to onyx, and there's only a certain number of onyx players, and then champion, and there's only, like, 200 of those.
I don't think there's a limit on the number of onyx players.
I don't know. Maybe there isn't, but
they're
pretty
just
rare.
There's only 200 champions though, so
Right.
if you knock one out, then you've replaced that guy essentially.
So I was playing with 2 onyx people, and probably I think he was like somewhere in platinum or maybe diamond. So pretty high level people. And I was probably, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was the worst out of the 4. I mean...
No surprises there.
Yeah, I'd only been playing or getting good at Halo for a couple weeks, and these guys have been playing since its release, so, I mean, what can I say? But the first game that we played, about halfway through, literally all of my teammates just gave up. They just, like, were having fun with it, which was fine. Like, I was okay with throwing a match, it was whatever. You know, we were having fun, we were laughing, and at the end of the game, I only had 1 kill, unfortunately.
Wow.
We got staked, though. It was bad. We got, I think, probably like 15 or less kills, and they won with 50 kills.
50 to 15.
Yeah, it was bad.
Ouch.
So, then I get a message from one of the people on the other team, and it just said, WTF. And I'm just like, to make light of the fact that I only got 1 kill and that we lost, I was like, I told my teammate, because I was chatting with them, I was just like, is this guy messaging me WTF because I only got 1 kill, or is it because we lost so bad?
Yeah,
and
I would probably...
all of my
I'd be
teammates were like, oh, you only got 1 kill? Oh my gosh, you suck. And I'm just like, whoa.
Wait
Hang on a minute.
Hold up.
We all sucked, okay? I only got 1 kill because I decided to keep shooting, and it was basically a 4v1 every time, because you all were like hiding and sitting on top of each other and trying to not be on. It was dumb. Anyways, they were just like, man, we gotta drop you. And I'm just like, okay, that's fair, definitely. That's a good gauge of my skill. Perfect.
One match, yeah, you already know exactly how they play.
Yeah. So we ended up playing another match, but I got so frustrated and pissed off in the second match because this one kid I was playing with, he was so freaking whiny. He was like, oh, I need someone to roll with me because I'm pushing. And I'm just like, okay, well, rule number 1, don't push by yourself, otherwise you get killed, but whatever, I'll come over and help you out. But then he dipped in the middle of, like, me trying to kill people, and he didn't tell me. He was just like, I'm out. I'm not going to tell Doodle at all.
You got
and
baited.
Then, yeah! I got baited, like, so many times. He was just like, I need someone to come help push, or, like, red stairs or whatever. So I was like, okay, I'm coming, because I was trying to be a good teammate. And he freaking dipped and, like, went top mid, and then there I was left, you know, I would kill 1 or 2, and then their whole team would come at me. I'm just like, okay, well, I'm gonna die. And I did, a lot, and it was super frustrating, because he would not communicate with me that, like, oh, hey, Doodle, I left, maybe you should jump out of there, you know? So that was super frustrating. And then the other thing was, none of them would listen to my call-outs. I was calling out some guy by red stairs for freaking 20 minutes, it felt like. I was calling him out. I went over to try to kill him and take care of the problem like 3 or 4 different times. And they were all top mid looking the other way, and so they, you know, weren't even paying attention to this guy red stairs or whatever. And I kept calling him out. I was like, red stairs, guys, red stairs. There's 1, there's 2, he's 1 shot, let's go. Like, pick him off, and like if they had just turned around and like put one shot in his foot and his freaking toenail, then they would have gotten him and the problem would have been solved and I would not be angry.
Even if just one guy turned around and helped you shoot him, that's two people ganged up on one. You win that every time.
Exactly. And like 2 or 3 of them ended up pushing from red stairs, and all of my teammates died because none of them decided to listen to my callouts. And they were just like, oh my god, there was a guy at red stairs, I died. I'm just like,
what? If only somebody said so.
No way! Oh my gosh. And then later that match, I had the Halo 2 beam rifle in my hands. I was doing a little bit of work, and I died with it. And so I called out. I was like, hey, I had the Halo 2 beam rifle. And that slight hesitation, this kid on my team was just like, did you forget what it was called or something? I'm just like, yeah, I'm sorry. And he was like, oh my god, how do you not know the name of the gun? I'm just like... And all the other team were just like, oh, that's so funny. Oh my gosh, she doesn't even know. Like, they were harassing me to no end. And then I just stopped playing for a second. I was like, do you want to keep harassing me, or do you want me to play for your team? Which one is it? Because I can leave and you can find a different fourth that you won't be able to communicate with at all.
Wait, these guys weren't randoms? These
no,
were guys
they were friends
with?
of friends. So I was like talking to them and communicating to them. And
that's even worse.
Yeah.
Like, way to be a toxic piece of turd if you're just like, we're gonna pick you up and listen, we can play some games together, and like they all three like gang up on you and like talk smack like all game.
Yeah.
What is that?
And luckily, my buddy who was still in the Xbox Live party, he was just like, guys, like, stop, like, seriously, that's annoying. Like, he wasn't white knighting or anything, but he was just like telling it like it is. And at the end of the game, guess who was the only one to go positive?
I don't know.
DoodleKiwi was, man. And guess how loud or harassing they were.
I bet they had their mouths shut the whole time.
So when I suck, y'all are like yelling, making up a ruckus. And then when y'all suck, and I'm the only one who goes positive, y'all are dead silent. Wow. I see how it is. I see.
It's a double-edged sword, that is.
Yeah. So that was just 2 matches that were just not fun, and I got really pissed off. But the majority of the matches I've been playing with a couple of my friends have been pretty okay. We've gotten...
Is it the same guy? Are you still playing with those guys?
No, I'm not playing with those guys anymore. I will not play another match with them ever again.
I wouldn't either. They're going to be jerks the whole time.
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't want to make any assumptions, but, I mean, I was the only female on the team, and,
there might be some correlation
there. Just maybe a little.
Alright, well, moving on, we're going to talk about some things you're going to need as an individual or as a team if you want to play as a team and win more games. The top thing that I think you should have or your team should have is communication.
For sure.
If you guys have got strong call-outs, and maybe even if the other team does too, I mean, you're just even at that point. The other things that I'm going to talk about will come into play. But so let's say you have call-outs, or your call-outs are better than the other team's, or you have call-outs and the other team doesn't have any communication. None of them have mics. You're playing against randoms that aren't queued up together. You'll destroy them every time because they can't tell each other, like, oh, I know where this guy is, or this guy's got a power weapon, this guy's over here or over there, and you should watch out for this guy. They don't have any of that going on. So when your team does and they don't, that's usually a guaranteed win for you guys.
Usually.
It doesn't always work out. Some teams of 4 randoms will just steamroll you no matter what, and I don't understand how that happens either. But
it's all luck.
Communication sure does help a heck of a lot if you've got it. The next thing is obviously individual skill. If you suck at the game and your team has to carry you, your team's not going to win as many games. And you probably understand this more than anybody else. Because you're good, but you're not as good as your teammates. Yeah. But when everybody's on the same level in terms of individual skill and grasp of the actual game mechanics and whatnot, then you're just going to win more because your whole team is playing at another level than the other team. So when you've got individual skill, then you've automatically got an advantage. That's going to help you win for sure.
But you definitely can't win on individual skill alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
The reverse is true.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if your teammates suck and you're the only good player, you can't carry a team of 3 guys. It's like she was saying earlier. I mean, it's basically a 1v4 if your teammates are that bad. I mean, what are you supposed to do? So, yeah, individual skill is a big part of winning matches. And then the other thing, the last thing is you've got to have a deep understanding of the game. That means spawn locations. That means game sense. That means positioning. That means everything that goes along with it. How all the guns work. Again, game mechanics.
Yeah.
Again, spawns. All of these things are really important. And if you understand how they work
and
you can predict them, and yeah, if your teammates understand them too, then you know the game better than they do. You know what to expect. You can just make good predictions and make good calls, and you'll just win more gunfights that way and eventually win the match that way. So all 3 of those things are super important: communication, individual skill, and a deep understanding of the game. And then I'm going to talk about 3 things you should not do when your team is losing. And I think DoodleKiwi did a great job of not doing any of these things.
I tried my best.
I mean, you can only do so much as a human being. We all have our faults, but these 3 things you just shouldn't do when your team's losing. And the first thing is throw the match. When you see the scoreline tip in the enemy's favor, and you just say, "Screw it, I'm not playing," or I'm just gonna mess around," or like, "There's no way we're coming back from this," or "There's no way we're gonna win," or something like that. When your mindset shifts to that, you're definitely gonna lose. There's absolutely no way you're gonna win if you or your teammates' mindset starts to go that way.
Yeah.
Just don't do that. Stay positive. Think about, like, we can do this still. Like, I don't encourage your teammates if they're starting to feel that way. Like, "No, dude, you're doing really good." Or like,
and even if you get like staked like 15-50, like, tell yourself after the match is over, okay, well, at least we didn't get 0, or at least we got 15. You know, stay positive.
As cheesy as it sounds, there's always a positive side to things, especially when it comes to stupid video games.
Yeah.
But yeah, throwing the game is just stupid. Don't do that. It's not only going to make you lose and your teammates lose, but it's also going to make everybody frustrated because it's not a fair match anymore. No one's having fun. The other teams, I mean, they might be having fun steamrolling you because your teammates aren't hardly playing anymore, but I mean, that's no fun for your teammates if they've got one guy that's already given up.
Yeah.
Then the next thing you should not do when your teammate or when your team is losing is blame your teammates. Everybody hates this when you've got some guy in team chat blasting in your ears saying, "Dude, you suck. What are you doing? You're absolutely trash at this game.
You killed me with your name.
Go outside, dude." Or like all these negative things, and he's just harassing you left and right. Nobody enjoys that. So don't do that. Don't be that guy.
And there's a difference between giving criticism, like, "Hey, like, maybe you shouldn't do that," or like, "Maybe you should be careful where you're throwing your nades," and like blaming something. There's a fine line between like seeing something and be like, "Hey, here's something you can improve upon and not do that anymore." Whereas you can also be like, "Hey, you suck. Stop doing that." But you don't give them anywhere to improve upon.
So the difference between helpful and not helpful is, let's say you lost a match and you're looking at the guy at the bottom of the scoreboard and he's like 5-10. He's negative. He's double negative. And you're just like, "You're the reason we lost that match." What's that going to make him feel like? He's going to feel like a turd because you just, I mean, you're blaming him for your loss. That's not cool. And then the next thing is like, maybe you're trying to be a little bit more constructive. I mean, it's not as good as just not saying anything at all, but maybe you could say, instead of, "Wow, dude, you suck. You should stop playing this game." Instead, you could say, "Hey, dude, maybe you should watch out and like just try to stay alive a little bit more.
Play your life a little." Or like, maybe you could have even rallied around him if you knew he was struggling and you knew the enemies were targeting him. You could rally around that one guy who was really struggling and make it harder for the enemies to kill him.
Yeah, like I have a perfect example. I was playing Counter-Strike the other day, and the game was pretty close. It was one of the last couple rounds of the match. He was the last guy on our team that was alive. It's 5 versus 5 in Counter-Strike, and it's single elimination. So when you die, you're dead for the whole round. So then you have to wait till the next round to, I guess, respawn, and everybody respawns at the next round. Okay, you get the idea, right?
Yeah.
So he was the last guy alive. It was 1 versus 2, and he's got to kill 2 people to win the round. He turns a corner. He knows some guy is there, and he turns the corner and shoots at the same time. And like, this is a big no-no in Counter-Strike. You can't shoot and move at the same time because it's a game mechanic that your accuracy drops when you're moving.
Oh, I didn't know
so
that.
it's really hard to hit your shots that way. Yeah. So even you didn't know that. Like
Yeah.
he didn't know that. So he turns the corner and shoots, and he's like, my crosshair was right on him. How come he didn't die? That should have been a kill. Or like, I mean, he was getting pretty upset, and we're kind of understanding, but we're all just like, next time don't walk and shoot at the same time. We explained it. We explained the game mechanic. Like, we're trying to teach him here. Like,
Yeah.
don't walk and move, or don't walk and shoot at the same time because your accuracy goes down. He's like, oh, that's why I didn't kill him. And he's like, okay, I won't do that anymore. And then
Yeah.
it's like,
And now he's a much better teammate for forever.
he's a better teammate. Everybody wins
Yeah.
because he's not mad. He's not gonna throw the match. I mean, we still lost, but
Yeah.
that's,
You can't win them all.
that's irrelevant. And then, okay, the last thing you should not do when your team is losing is get emotional. And it's kind of similar to the first point where it's throwing the game. You should also never lose faith. You've got to stay positive. You've got to think. You've got to keep your mindset in the game. Like, we're going to win this. We can do this. We can come back if we're down a little bit. Or, like, even when you're winning, you can't just say, like, oh, we're going to steamroll them. Like, no big deal. And get complacent. That's when comebacks happen.
Yeah.
So even when you're winning, you've got to keep the mindset like, let's pound them. Let's absolutely destroy them. Smash them to death. Like, don't stop.
Yeah.
Don't stop destroying them. Whatever you're doing, it's working. Keep doing that.
And by get emotional, we mean, like, don't be angry. Don't get frustrated. Don't, like, and then by getting angry and frustrated, you're probably going to do those 2 first things on the list.
Your emotions play a huge part in how you play the game. Let's say you've died. So okay, let's say you're playing Call of Duty and you've got killed by this guy that's sitting in a corner.
Yeah.
And you go back and try to kill him, and he kills you again and again and again and again. And every time you're just getting like, oh my god, I'm gonna get this guy. And you just get more and more mad, like, oh, he's still there. You've got to go back and kill him. But you're just like, you get frustrated and frustrated. And really, in terms of the overall sense of the game, you're just feeding him kills.
Yeah.
He's gotten like 7 or 8 kills off of you at this point, and you've gotten 0 because you've spent all this energy trying to just kill that guy. So when you get emotional on the game, you play differently, and it affects your gameplay. So
It
just
definitely does.
even when you're winning or losing, just don't get emotional. You've got to stay focused and stay positive.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 big things you should not do when your team's losing. It'll help put a stop to your loss, or at least keep you playing longer and keep you happy.
Or well, at least maybe put like a little Band-Aid on the wound, you know?
Yeah, it won't be as bad.
Yeah. Another thing that we didn't talk about that wasn't on the list, that I think should be spoken about is like you and your teammates, you gotta vibe. And what I mean by that is like, you have to be able to do and not do all of those things on the list well. You can't have
it's the same
tension
thing
within the team. If one person doesn't like another person, like in the match I was in earlier, I was getting really pissed off at these kids because they were harassing me. I was like, dude, I'm just trying to do my best, alright? You know, like, if you have that tension, maybe you could win a match or 2, but you're never going to win anything serious or important because of that underlying tension. So you have to vibe. You have to get along. I know it sounds dumb, but you really do have to have a good, you know, attitude and behavior to your teammates.
It's the same thing as like team chemistry or team synergy or kind of work togetherness, if that's a thing. But you just try to, when you got a group of 4 people together, if you guys are already best friends, you're going to play better together just because that's the way you already know each other. You know everybody's strengths and weaknesses already, and you're not going to be so toxic to each other all the time. I mean, maybe you are. I mean, I don't know. But that's the idea is to not be that way. The next thing we're going to talk about is your right to repair. And this is a kind of debated topic right now. But the first thing we're going to cover real quick is planned obsolescence. And according to Google here, The definition of planned obsolescence is a policy of producing consumer goods that rapidly become obsolete and so require replacing, achieved by frequent changes in design, termination of the supply of spare parts, and the use of non-durable materials. I think the best example, I know you guys might not like this, but the best example I can think of is Apple's iPhone. Think of how many editions they've come out in the past 10 years. We're up to the iPhone 7 now.
Isn't there an iPhone 8?
I don't even know.
I feel like there's
that
an
would be
iPhone
funny
8.
though. but it just goes to show that this is exactly what I'm talking about. In business, it's a good idea. You're making lots of money off of this when you make your product so it doesn't last very long. So they have to buy another one of your products. You make a lot of money off of that. But this is not good for your consumers. If you're somebody buying from Apple, you want your phone to last a long time. You don't want to have to keep upgrading and spending your money. I mean, I think the iPhone 7 costs like $600 or $700.
I mean, if you're buying it outright, at least that much.
Yeah. So when you're spending $600 or $700 or $800 on a phone or something like that, you want it to last.
Yeah,
like,
it shouldn't last for a couple years. It should last for like a long time, like 10 years.
3, 4, 5, 6 years maybe. I mean, obviously technology advances, and sure, you want to have the latest features and everything.
I understand that.
And that's cool. If you like upgrading, go for it. It's your money. You can do whatever you want.
But you should be able to upgrade and not have to buy a completely new product. You shouldn't have to be forced to like buy like a brand new thing. Whereas if you had like the old like base model or whatever, you should be able to like upgrade or change something out or something like that.
Yeah, but let's take a look at this article here. This is an article about European lawmakers call for a right to repair electronic equipment. The European Parliament wants to take an approach to avoiding obsolescence. In this article, they're basically talking about how the European Parliament, they want to kind of mitigate this planned obsolescence as much as possible. They want laws in place to help stop this and help make this situation better for your consumers. Mm-hmm. It's great for your consumers, but businesses are going to be against this because that means they're going to be losing a lot of money.
Yeah.
And when money is ever into question, somebody's going to be upset.
Yeah.
So, I mean, right here, it points out one of the recommendations. Oh my gosh, if I can highlight properly. There we go. One of the recommendations that could help avoid a repeat of the Galaxy Note 7 debacle. If you guys recall, when the Galaxy Note 7 was released, it was all fine and dandy until a couple of Note 7 batteries started catching on fire in people's like pockets and stuff like that, and it was a huge safety issue. And the problem is that they're pointing out if these laws that they're suggesting were in place, they wouldn't have that problem because the battery would not be sealed in the phone.
Right. It
would actually be replaceable. And some of you guys have phones like this. I used to have a Galaxy S5 by Samsung.
Yeah,
and you could just take the back cover off and change the battery out. And they're saying if the Galaxy Note 7 was like this, you could do the exact same thing. They wouldn't have to recall all these units and cost themselves so much money.
Yeah.
They could just issue a bunch of new batteries. So that's kind of a big deal. That's a lot of electronic waste. That's a lot of batteries going in landfills and stuff like that. I mean, maybe they get recycled. I don't know. But
I mean, even from a business standpoint, like, that's just stupid.
Yeah,
like,
it would be smarter that way.
Would you rather, as a business, have to pay for a brand new replacement phone and deal with that blow to your reputation because everyone's catching on fire? Or would you rather just issue a couple of new batteries and be like, well, I'm sorry about that. Sorry, fam.
Yeah, if I were in that position, I'd rather just pay maybe like a quarter as much for a stack of new batteries and just hand them out like candy at corner stores and stuff like that. None of this would come into play at all if the batteries had worked right in the first place.
Right.
So that's still on Samsung that they kind of messed that part up.
Yeah.
But we're just saying if that does become the case where you have a battery issue, it's much easier to replace it when the battery is accessible. This not only applies to batteries, but other components in maybe a laptop or something like that. I know in a lot of Apple laptops, the CPU is soldered in. The graphics card is soldered in.
Dang.
I believe the hard drive or SSDs are soldered in. So there's no way you're going to be able to replace those if they ever go bad. You have to buy the whole motherboard with all the components soldered in. That costs you 3 times as much as just buying the individual part and switching it out. And not to mention, even if you could do that, when you go to take it apart, you're voiding your warranty. That's a big deal to a lot of people. You don't want to do that. When you buy something like your phone, you buy it outright for like $700 or $800. You want it to be yours, right?
Yeah.
Well, this next article, the Electronic Frontier Foundation says, if you can't fix it, you don't own it. And I think that's kind of funny to me. Like, I've got a phone, I've got a lot of stuff that I have no idea how to fix.
Yeah.
Like, if it were to ever break, I'd be screwed. So, according to that statement, I don't own a lot of stuff because I don't know how to fix everything.
Man, I don't think I own anything in my life. I'm trying to think of something that I can fix, but honestly, I'm drawing a blank.
I mean, I used to be real handy with Legos, but that's about it.
That doesn't count. You're not fixing anything except a mess in your room.
Moving right along. Mostly, this article was about planned obsolescence causes electronics to have a shorter lifespan. We already have been over that. And they're also emphasizing that it creates more waste because users will, instead of fixing their devices, their phones or what have you, or donating them for recycling or to reuse them for people that can't afford those types of devices, they'll just throw them away. You don't want those kind of electronic parts in your landfills or something, because I mean they have chemicals in them that can affect your water and like the environment, and that's not cool. You don't want that. But they were also talking about how since manufacturers don't have to provide spare parts, it's becoming really difficult for local repair shops to stay in business. It's driving them out of business because they don't have access to spare parts and stuff like that. So there's no way they can... I mean, they're a repair shop. How are they supposed to repair stuff if they don't have access to spare parts and stuff?
Yeah, actually, one of my friend's dads does like repairs on like iPhones and like old phones and stuff like that. I'm sure he's run into this problem before.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can get third-party stuff that's not directly from, say, Apple or Samsung, but it would be a lot better if you could just get those parts directly from those companies and make sure, absolutely positive, that those are going to work and they're an exact fit for your product. How cool would that be? You just know it's going to work. You just have to figure out, I mean, you just have to take it apart and fix it. It's down to you to do the actual work.
I mean, they could have like a, if Samsung or one of these companies started doing that and they started making like YouTube videos and like how to fix this or like how to fix a broken screen or, just going through the steps like one by one, and like they would have like a really loyal
that would
fan
be
base.
Like a whole new business model.
Yeah.
It's like you make your stuff as durable and everything that you can, and if it does break, say, I know it happens to everybody, but your screen might crack eventually. Yeah. Maybe you sat on it or you dropped it or something and you didn't have a case, which is unfortunate for you, but just think if you could just, oh wow, I can just go get a replacement screen right from Apple and have it shipped to my doorstep, and like maybe it comes with the tools that you need to do the repair.
Oh my God, that'd be so cool.
How cool would that be?
I want to fix my phone. It's pretty old. Yeah. See, I went and like got a new one of the same one because I was like, this is great. I don't want to ever change. But then I like forgot the whole like technology changes kind of thing. And
yeah, that's kind of the thing.
Yeah. So now I have to wait like another like 6 or 8 months to get like a new one. So.
But so far we've only talked about hardware right to repair. Now we're gonna switch over to software. A lot of devices come with an end user license agreement. It's EULA or EULA for short. These agreements usually have a clause that states you can't reverse engineer the software, you can't transfer the software license, and sometimes it even forbids unauthorized repair sources. which is, it's a hardware thing. You can't, like, let's say they have a list of authorized repair services, and maybe that list is just their own company, which is pretty common as far as I know. If your name's not on that list and you try to repair your thingamabob, then you violated the end user license agreement. So in theory, you no longer have a legitimate license anymore because you violated your license. So they have legal rights to retract your license so that you can't use that software anymore because you tried to repair something of yours that had a EULA that specifically said you can't do that. So that, in my mind, that's just the dumbest thing I can imagine.
Yeah,
like,
that's really dumb.
I can see from a business standpoint why you wouldn't want people to reverse engineer your software. You don't want people to have access to all the hard work that you put into your source code. Like, source code is a big deal because if somebody's got access to that, they can just copy and paste it and kind of change it up a little bit and sell it as a new product. Mm-hmm. That's damaging to your product. Why would you want someone else to be able to just copy and paste your product? I mean, obviously there's copyright laws in place that help prevent this, but why would you want that? Why would you even want to risk that? And so if you've got a user license agreement like this and they can't reverse engineer it, then I mean you're pretty much in the clear.
There was actually my mom was telling me about one of her friends has an insulin pump, and her husband, like, there's a certain, like, software that goes into insulin pumps that, like, releases the insulin at, like, certain times a day, or, like, when your blood sugar's low or whatever, and it's, like, FDA regulated, and it has to go through, like, government regulations for it to be on the market, and I think there's only, like, 1 or 2 softwares out there for insulin pumps. But her husband basically, like, cracked the code on the insulin pump and, like, wrote a new one. I don't know the specifics of, like, diabetic numbers, but, like, the number that's really important for, like, diabetics, it went down by, like, a very big margin for her. And in that case, like, you know, not everyone who's trying to, like, reverse engineer software is malicious. Like, there are some people who genuinely just want to help or to make it better or to improve something.
Or they just want to have control over it for themselves. Maybe they don't want to distribute it. They just want to have their own unique version of something. I mean, what's the harm in that? I mean, obviously, yes, they can distribute that software, and that can become a problem for you as the business owner. But what's the harm in one person switching up their software a little bit and making it a little bit different? That's just stupid to make that not really illegal, but against their license agreement. There's this whole other thing we've got here from the Electronic Frontier Foundation. Here's a quote. Further complications. The software may come with digital locks, aka digital rights management, DRM. A good example of this, going outside the quote here, is Steam. Steam is a huge piece of DRM. When you buy a game on Steam or through Steam, you're not buying the actual game. You're buying a license to play the game on Steam. Obviously, Steam is probably not going away. They're making tons of money off of all kinds of stuff. But let's just say, for the sake of this example, that Steam goes bankrupt and they're not a company anymore, or Steam, like it just disappears off the face of the planet and it doesn't exist anymore. All of those games that you bought, now you don't have access to. You have to go buy them through some other digital rights management software, say Origin or Ubisoft Store, which we all know they suck. Steam is one of the greatest DRM platforms ever, but wouldn't it be great to just not even have to deal with that at all? You could just buy the exe file and run it on your computer. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't have to worry about this nonsense. You just have a copy of the game. There's no license. You have the game. So if you want to mess with it or whatever, there's no EULA for that either. You've got the exe file. You can do whatever you want.
And if you screw it up, it's your fault.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice if you just didn't have to deal with this? But anyway, back to the quote. Further complications. The software may come with digital locks, aka DRM, or technical protection measures, TPMs, supposedly designed to prevent unauthorized copying. Breaking those locks, even to do simple and otherwise legal tinkering with or fixing your own devices, means breaking the law thanks to Section 1201 of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. Technically, if you mess around with your software that has a DRM or a TPM, you're kind of open to legal action.
Really?
You've technically broken the law. So if somebody finds out and they want to do something about it, I mean, they have the legal means to do so. They have a legitimate reason to go after you.
Right.
Let's get out of all that negativity and talk about something a little funny here. Electronic Frontier Foundation. I came across this article while looking at the first article. It was like down here at the recommended like content or whatever. It's their stupid patent of the month, and I thought this was hilarious. Ford, the motor company, obviously they make cars and stuff. They patented a windshield. Of all things, they patented a windshield. And get this, that picture right there, that's their patent.
Huh.
And I actually went to their the United States Patent and Trademark office here.
Oh my god.
And I'm going to show you the whole patent. This is the patent. It's a design patent, so it's not. They were talking about how it's not a utility patent. So like it's not. They're not patenting the way something functions. They're patenting a design or like an aesthetic look or something like that. It blows my mind that this is even a thing. I didn't know this at all. So
well, I'm gonna design a star and freaking patent it. That's what I'm gonna do.
But this is great. This is the whole thing. This is their super specific drawing.
Wow,
There's no dimensions
really
on here.
specific.
There's no dimensions on here. So that's the
Wow.
first picture. Here's the second picture down here.
Figure one.
Figure one. And then figure two here.
Oh, what are
they have lines.
the threes?
Those are actually references for another picture.
Okay.
Those lines represent where this cross section
Wow.
was taken here.
All right.
That's a cross section looking top down on the windshield.
Okay.
And then here we've got another angle.
Wow.
I mean, this is just impressive stuff.
Honestly, that could just be anything.
I'm amazed that nobody's ever done it. I understand why they're patenting this. Yeah,
I'm so glad that we have windshields now. You know.
Yeah.
I guess we didn't have them before.
These pictures just really do it justice.
Wow.
Of how
That's
well
amazing.
designed this windshield is.
Props to Ford, man. They just freaking designed a windshield. Like, I'm so glad that it will be so safe now. Honestly.
Let me try it. Let me try my hand at this. Where is it? Do you want to try?
No, you go ahead. I think you can do it.
Okay.
I think you would do a better job, honestly. I think
Okay.
you would get the better patent.
Let's try to make a patent here of a windshield.
Okay.
But it's not going to be their windshield. It's my windshield
your
actually.
Windshield. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think I've got the brush selected. Brush. Okay. Here we go.
Wow.
This is the top of the
Wow.
windshield.
Oh
Obviously
my
it's
gosh,
got
I can see it now.
yeah, it's got to have this curvature to
Right.
fit the top of the frame of the car, right?
Right, because we know about cars.
And then it's got to come down on the side.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
And it's got to be a little wider just because that's how
Yeah.
that's how math is. Okay, and then it's curved down here too. And then over here it's got I'm running out of space.
It's okay. I'm sure the United
It's
States
a little
Patent and
abstract,
Trademark Office will
okay.
understand.
Okay, you don't have to kill me on my drawing
And
skills
I mean,
here.
it's not to scale, obviously, but like you can really see the figure. You know, you can just really see. I could see that being
like this is inspiring to me. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like I'm pretty sure Ford copied my patent.
I think honestly,
Like, can you see the resemblance?
they totally might have.
I might have to get into some litigation with Ford right now. All jokes aside, I mean, this is obviously the worst patent that I've ever seen.
It's so dumb.
I haven't seen a whole lot of patents, though, so that may not go so
Yeah,
far,
yeah.
but you guys get the idea. This is a joke. What the heck are they doing? How can you... The patent is going to last 14 years, so that's when it expires in 14 years.
Oh my gosh.
So for 14 years, they have this design of the windshield under patent. So if anybody tries to copy this
my
design, then they are screwed. Because Ford is going to go right after them. But this does have some legal ramifications. And they quoted down here, take a shop that restores and sells used cars, for example. The business works because the shop can rest assured that so long as those people bringing their cars own them, the shop is free to repair and resell those vehicles. That flow of commerce would sputter if companies that make the thousands of parts that go into a vehicle could keep their patent rights after the first sale. Those companies might, for instance, restrict resale rights and sue the shop owner for patent infringement. And even if they refrain from imposing such restrictions, the very threat of patent liability would force the shop to invest in efforts to protect themselves from hidden lawsuits. So, one of the YouTubers that I watch somewhat regularly calls this patent trolling or patent hattery, because this is just so dumb and obviously anti-consumer, anti-business. This is just stupid. Why would you go through the effort to patent this if you didn't already have something in mind? You just want to restrict other people's businesses. Even outside of the quote that they gave, let's say you're a company that makes windshields for cars. You take laser measurements of those cars and you make a precision windshield that fits the exact model and you sell that. Now, let's say you're doing that same thing for Ford cars. Well, now they've got this patent, so now you're liable for patent infringement.
That's so dumb.
And they can definitely go after you for that. So that's a huge impact on your business because they've got this dumb patent here.
And I
what
mean,
the heck?
even it said in the quote, like, even if they don't actually go after you, like, there's no way that, Ford can go after every single individual. But, like,
so the smart
threat,
business would be like, oh, I can see that there's a patent here.
Yeah.
And because they made this patent, even without taking any legal action, just because they made this patent means that some businesses are just not going to mess with it. They're not going to risk it. So let's say you're that glass company again, and you were looking into investing in measuring a bunch of Ford cars. Well, your legal advisor comes over and says, well, they've actually got a patent on their windshield design, so I don't think it would be a good idea for you to start making these. That stops your business from expanding. You can't make windshields for Ford cars anymore because you can be held liable for their design.
That's so dumb.
It's just the dumbest thing I can imagine.
Mind-blowing.
Like, why is this the thing?
It really does deserve that, stupid patent of the month.
This definitely deserves the title of stupid patent of the month. I don't understand how this happened.
But I want to get our patent on there someday. Can we get a patent?
I don't think you should aspire to get your patent stupid patent of the month, though. Like, that's...
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
I mean, maybe getting your patent in the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, but not the stupidest patent of the month.
I guess that's fair enough.
But those are all the topics that we've got for you guys today. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to get subscribed to our channel. Again, we'll have all the links to all the articles and even the Google document we have here, so you can look at what we talked about. You can click on links. You can read about stuff.
Check it out for yourself.
Yeah, check it out for yourself. And that's really all we've got for today.
Thanks for listening, guys. There was this guy at the CWL Stage 1 GoPro League who brought a toaster. And
I saw that.
He got it. He's sitting in front of us, and I was so confused. I thought it was like a microwave or something.